My name is Kristian. The US people always say Christian. I don't know. I don't care. Call me whatever. I got a task to talk about the fundamentals, really the basics. I know that some of you, they're like super experienced immersion cooling miners. There's a big miner from Paraguay. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of the topics that I will cover will be very familiar for those. But I'm pretty sure that I'll try to cover a lot of smaller topics and recommend you like resources and places to go to dive deeper. Because just to talk, if you say, let's talk about basics in mining, okay, how long do we have? Like a week. So 1 hour to talk about anything in mining is not enough. So I'll just try to do like a super quick overview about all the different parts in mining and try to fall in love with it, like excite you about it, and then recommend some of the resources. So first of all, why should you listen to me? I mean, so I'm a marketing guy. I run marketing at Braiins. Braiins is one of the oldest companies in Bitcoin in general, not only mining in Bitcoin. And we focus only on software tools for Bitcoin miners. That's all we do. No altcoins, nothing outside the Bitcoin mining space. So just Bitcoin miners and just software for now. Maybe you know us from the project called Slashpool, which recently got renamed to Brainspool, just to unify, because we have a wide variety of products right now, so just to unify everything under the Braiins umbrella, which is the oldest mining pool still running. So the first block got mined in 2010, end of 2010, so we will be celebrating 12 years of Bitcoin mining in December this year. We have other products, for example, Braiins Plus, which is a mining firmware, which is just a fancy word for operating system for these machines. So it's basically operating system for your ASICs. Long story short, the Chinese manufacturer, they don't do quite a good job. So we're like, let's fix it, and we made a better firmware. We do other stuff. I don't want to get into super technical details. Farm proxies for large data centers to send the because if you have a large data center, the bandwidth is an issue. So it's just a smart way to bundle the connections going from the farm to the pool, and it's just an extra benefits like farm management, etc. You can do through the hash rate. And also, we are the authors of Stratum v2. Maybe you heard some recent stories about Stratum v2. I'll try to explain a little bit later about Stratum v2, because you will see a lot of news coming up in the upcoming weeks about this topic, and quite a major ones. So I'll talk about Stratum v2 later, but we're the authors together with Matt Corello. Also, we focus on education. So if you stick around and don't leave at the end of the presentation, you'll get our book, which we just published 2 months ago about Bitcoin mining. And we do other stuff. This is our mining dashboard, where you have tools from profitability calculator, cash flow calculators, to capacity calculators. For example, you say, I have 20 megawatts in Paraguay, and then you just put it in, and we spill you how many S19s you can fit, how many S19s overclocked you can fit, etc. So anything, if you're a Bitcoin miner, just go to Braiins Insights. Also, if you're just enthusiast and a Bitcoiner, there are stats about difficulty adjustment, which we will talk and I'll explain a little bit later. So we focus heavily on education, and that's why we also have blog, where we try to explain a lot of the concepts, because you'd be surprised, but we definitely need more education in Bitcoin mining in general. And I'll show you some of the examples of research and general education materials that we have. Yeah, and this is basically what Braiins does, our summary. So the only thing we know how to do is Bitcoin mining, nothing else. Yeah, we're making this joke for the past 4 years, by the way. At last, they at least turned on the staking, so we cannot use the same joke at the end of this year. Anyway, I wanted to quickly just start. I will not go super deep on here. But there's not even consensus what is money among economists, right? So it's like a very difficult topic, but how I see it, how I look at it, it's just a piece of technology, nothing else. It's just technology to work with our potential in time as human beings. Of course, there are many other things that like the money do, but if I go to super simple detail, it's just a technology. And why I'm saying this, there is just very simple way to objectively say there's some bad technology. There's bad technology and a better technology, and you can very objectively look at the features that the technology has to do. It has to be divisible. You know, gold had a lot of issues with that in the history. It has to be scarce. It has to be difficult to get, because otherwise it's not keeping your potential in time. So you don't have to go into it's. If you Google it, and I'll have also my slides. Feel free to take pictures. But it's just a way to show it's a piece of technology, and we have to look objectively at the traits and features and what it does good and what it does bad. Then you can ask, okay, but we have other crypto. I don't want to go into too much detail, but things that I like and recommend, because this is the market cap, right? So it's like the bigger the coin, the higher up the list it is. And first one is Bitcoin, then we have Ethereum, and going down. The bigger the market capitalization, the higher it is. I really like this graph. It's the same thing, so it's by market capitalization. So the higher you go, the bigger market cap. So again, number one, the first line is Bitcoin, but then you have different years or different months in a year, starting from, I don't know, 2013 going to 2021. And then you see the position of each. So you see on the left in 2013, anyway, in the past, Litecoin was number 2, and now it's not even top 10, right? So it's like a lot of noise, and just Bitcoin sits there. And I just want to emphasize, it shouldn't be in one table, in my opinion. Bitcoin is genius money, as we saw from the previous table, really fixing the world and a lot of issues that I want to cover. And everything else is just a copy trying to basically scam a lot of people, I would say. I'm not saying all of them are scam artists, because I know a lot of people from the space, and they're genuinely excited about the technology. But where our struggle is just when they say, like the shady marketing trying to sell you, oh, Monero is the new Bitcoin killer or something like that, like Solana is the new Bitcoin killer. It just doesn't make any sense. If you want to go deeper and understand really shady marketing and a lot of the coins, just read about the scalability trilemma or blockchain trilemma. Basically, you have 3 traits that the blockchain can have. It can be scalable, secure, and decentralized, and you can always only pick 2. It goes from the information systems architecture. Like, if you want to know more, just have a look at this concept, and there is no way to put all 3 together, basically. And if you don't want to go that deep, and you want to have like a super short read about all that I mentioned on the previous slides, there's a genius article. I don't read much, but this is like a 4-minute read, so it's really the quickest way you can understand this. It's from Oleg, Universe Wants One Money. I think he wrote it in like 2014 or something, and it's really 4 minutes read, goes super quickly, history of gold, silver, fiat money, crypto, and to Bitcoin. And just, it is very easy for the reader, I think, to understand why is Bitcoin better than anything else as a technology, as a money technology, and why the market, the universe, so it's like a big market, right? He looks into the future. Why we want only one? Why it makes so much sense? So really highly recommend it. But let's go to mining. As I said, we have 1 hour. I want to cover more interesting topics. So if you want, so I will just look at the big picture. I will not go into like super details, how we're hashing and how we're using the nonce. I'll try to explain just the big picture ideas, so we can just move through different topics. But if you want to go really deep, this is one of the best explanation of really how the hashing, how the mining actually like step by step looks, and it's a unconfiscatable conference from Las Vegas. So if you just put into Google unconfiscatable and the live stream from day 2, under the, you know, in the YouTube description you have like timestamps, and she's D++, the letter D++, and it's called Understanding Mining. So really, if you want to dive deeper into this particular, how we hash, how it's like step by step done, just listen to this one. But I'll try to explain a little bit differently on a higher level of abstraction, let's say. But like super basically, mining does 3 things, right? So it is people that spend like real world resources, which is the electricity, their money to buy the machines, and spend a lot of electricity to write into the accounting book. The blockchain is just a fancy word for a database. Accounting book, like really think about one giant book that says, okay, and each block is just 1 page, right? And so it is very difficult to figure it out in decentralized system who gets the right to write into the book, because the book is the truth. Like this is the most important aspect of it, like who gets the right to write into it. So they're thinking about different ways, and it is very, very simple idea. We need to do work. As humanity, we have to work to get, you know, to our achievements. So Satoshi and others, like they put together the ideas, but it's the same. You spend real world resources as energy, so you get the right to write into the book. Also, in this system, this is how the 21 million Bitcoin gets distributed. So you're working to secure it, you're working to protect it, you're working so it works. You spend the energy, you get to write the transaction, and for that you get the reward. So it is very simple. That's what mining does. So you're spending real world resources to put together the reality, the physical realm, and the digital realm. And by that you get rewards in the form of Bitcoin. So that's how like the new distribution of Bitcoin is fair. And by doing all that, you're protecting and securing the whole network. We'll go into details, but this is what you must know. Also, I talk about like it is about spending the real world resources creates you the truth, because it is tricky concept, but imagine you're in the middle of desert and you connect to the internet, and everybody's faking, everybody's lying, like you don't know how to tell what's truth or what's not. So that's the concept, like you don't have to trust anything, you just look who made the most work. You can verify it very easily. We'll get to those concepts, but that's the part that has to click in your head. By really you go and you ask the internet, hey, where is the truth? Which accounting book is the right one? Which one I choose as to which I believe in? And you don't have to trust any reviews, any Google stars, you know, any reviews. You just look which one has the most work, and that is the truth. That's how you can know what's truth in the online realm. That's the very important part. So I want to completely go abstract and talk to you about lottery, and from that to explain you some of the mining concepts. So imagine a very, very easy game of dice. You're just rolling a dice, right? The dice itself can have multiple sides, so don't think about like small dice, 6-sided dice, but think about 1,000 of like sides, I mean. And you have just one purpose. We sit at the table. This is like the playing table, right? And he was like the guy that tells the rules. And I say, okay, whoever. So we have 1,000 sided dice, and there are like 4 players. And I say, okay, whoever rolls numbers equal or smaller to 10 wins. It's simple as that. So we just roll I just roll, and sometime in the future, it's like very, very easy to calculate the probability, right? It is a very predictable system, and whoever rolls it just wins. And it is, start thinking about some of the concepts. The more players we have, everybody has their own dice, and we're rolling at the same time. So the more players come, the faster we find the number. The more sides of the dice you have, the more difficult it gets to roll the dice, etc., etc. Really just think about super normal dice game, but with really, really big dices, and you're just rolling, and your target is to hit a certain number. Always like a, let's say, if you have 1,000, then roll something smaller than 10. Just think about this game. Mining is extremely similar. Like that's what really helped me. Of course, you have the mining machine, and they're doing something complicated called SHA-256. It's just a hashing function, and somebody calls it complex mathematical calculations. We'll get to that, how big bullshit that is. But really think about it. What really helped me, I completely forgot about. I'm not super nerd in math, and I looked at it just rolling the dice. On left side, you're just putting random numbers. So it's the same as random roll of the dice. You're just putting the information from the blockchain, the information about the previous block, etc., etc. Don't think about it too much. Just imagine plugging in random numbers, so just playing the random dice. Then you put it into a black box, which does one math, and then output comes out of it. So it's very similar to the dice roll. You just and you're looking exactly as with the dice game. You're looking for something that meets the target. So completely the same. You're rolling. Everybody keeps rolling. At the end, we just say, hey, we want numbers smaller than 10. Exactly like with the dice. And then think about so just have in mind, again, the table with the players, and in the end, we say we need numbers smaller than 10. And we do the same. So we keep rolling, and now think about the concepts. So one player throwing one dice, you can imagine it as one solution this machine has. So when you hear always about terahash per second, this machine has 14 terahash per second. I don't know how much is tera, thousand, right? So it has 14,000 dice rolls per second. That's all it does. So it's like a 14,000 guesses per second. And you can very easily imagine the consequences of this. As I said, I'll not go into details on that. To understand the super basic concepts of difficulty adjustment and etc. So let me summarize again. We're sitting at the table. The machines are just rolling the dice. The more powerful machine you have, just the more dice throws you do. So the more probability for you to get the correct answer and to win the prize. So it's that's one of the genius parts about Bitcoin. Imagine we play the game, right? We have 10 players, so 10 dice, and 1,000-sided dice. And I say, roll numbers smaller than 10. It's very easy to calculate the probability of how long the one round will last. But now imagine we start at the whole room. Whole room starts throwing the dice. We went, the round ends super quickly. Because it's just more of us playing, random guessing the numbers. So that's the genius part, because that would get super difficult. Or imagine we play a large, complicated game, million-sided dice, and 90% of you leave the room. Then we're just stuck, and we're just we sit here for 2 months just looking for the number, and that's the closing of the block. That's how transaction gets to get written in the accounting book, right? So now imagine that, monetary system where we would wait 2 months all of a sudden because you all left, you don't want to play anymore, and we would wait. So what happened is a very simple idea. So every 10 minutes, one round is every 10 minutes, but every 2016 rounds, we just look at how long the round was, and we say, we want it on average to be 10 minutes. And it's, again, very simple math. You just look at the previous one was 9 minutes, 58 seconds. The previous one, and you just make an average. It's just very easy. And you say, we want it to be 10 minutes. So what do you do? If it's faster, if we play faster than we should, you just make the game a little bit more complicated. So I take all the dice from the table and give you more sided dice, or rather, I don't give you roll numbers smaller than 10. I give you roll numbers smaller than 2. I just made it super simple adjustment, and we play the same game with the same people, and it just and again we're creating like following the rules and making it predictable, but very easy. So that's what I want you to understand from it. There's no complicated maths. It's kind of really just think about dice rolling, and it's to spend the energies, which again is to protect and connect the physical to the online world. So it's very hard to do. You have to make a lot of dice rolls. Really just imagine, forget about like hard to do, is really imagine again throwing the dice. And you have like millions of your arms because you have a lot of these machines doing insane amounts of like the dice roll per second, but it is very easy to verify. Again, think about the dice game. If you roll number 10, everybody else just looks and says, yeah, it's number 10, he won. It's like as simple as that. Again, just to see, yes, that miner is right, he did the work, because we can very easily verify he threw the dice. So keep those concepts in mind. Then you can have the organizers like, hey, talk about proof of stake. And I was like, yeah, how long time we have, like the whole weekend. So I don't want to go into details. After I spoke a lot about just using doing the work, I heard the best, what's stuck in my head. Boss is just trying to really figure it out how to be lazy, sleep at home, and not work. They try so hard to avoid the work. And it just, in my opinion, it's just not doable. That's how you connect the physical world to the digital world, by spending the energy and doing the work. And for me, it's it's even worse than the fiat world, because fiat world, you kind of have to do the proof of work by going to war and having a lot of tanks and shit. So it's kind of proof of work, but in my opinion, really bad proof of work. But they are even worse than fiat in my perspective, because they're like, let the servers run and print my money. And I want to lie at home and not work. So that's my opinion, and I don't want to go deeper on proof of stake. If you want to know, for me, I think for 99% of people, just the dice analogy works, and you understand like the difficulty adjustment, etc. But if you want to go deeper and step by step, so Swan Bitcoin, one of the best companies in Bitcoin, they have a free PDF book in multiple languages, by the way. We at Braiins translated it to Czech. They have it in Spanish. You just put their, email or fake email and just get the PDF for free. And what the author did, it starts very clever, because it's like, okay, we want to have decentralized accounting book. How do we do it? And then he proposes, okay, let's do it this way. And very easily you can find why it doesn't work. So he iterates, and just by doing all the failed iterations, you get to a point that only this spending energy and doing it, who spends the energy gets to write to the accounting book, etc. And only that works. So if you want to go deeper, but it's for regular marketing guys, very simple to read, no code, but really going way deeper into how it step by step works and why no other alternative works. So definitely highly recommend it. So now my favorite thing. Because you see in mainstream media, Bitcoin Twitter, once a week, Bitcoin miners spending insane amounts of compute energy to do complicated math problems, and this just doesn't make any sense. Again, go back to dice analogy. It's just throwing, like guessing. It's like a guessing game. It's like a lottery game. There's no complicated, it's not quantum physics and like going to Mars with rockets or anything. It's really because, and I'm not like hating on it, on the contrary, because, so I'll be shilling our blog. If you want to read the Bitcoin mining is not solving complex math problems, we have the whole dice analogy written in more detail, so you can just read it. And then we also have can quantum computers attack Bitcoin? I'll not go into super details. I'm not a researcher, so I had a smarter guys read the research than write the blog post, which is easier, so I recommend this. But I remember it with one single analogy, which again broke my, like exploded in my head. So think about quantum computer as a like super genius grand chess player. So it's like a super smart guy, smartness, he's smart. And now tell him, please build me a China wall, the great China wall, by yourself. And you're trying to, just how genius he is, you want to translate it into a lot of work done, and it doesn't work. In order to build this, you need an army of specialized people that do only one thing, laying the bricks. And it is the same with Bitcoin mining. You need a lot of these workers. We literally call them workers on our mining pool because they do only one thing and nothing else. They're stupid. They're absolutely dumb. They, 2-year-old baby would win chess against those machines. It's just super dumb. But they can build, they can do a lot of that work that is needed. So again, think about the Bitcoin mining as building a huge China wall because it requires tremendous amount of work being done, and just the super genius guy just standing in front of millions of bricks, and it just doesn't translate. The smartness doesn't translate. It works the same in Bitcoin mining so don't be afraid about quantum computers, but of course read it because it does poses a risk, for example, to wallets, etc. Don't want to go into too much details, but first of all, we can fix everything by upgrading. There's smart people working on it already. But think about one thing: the whole concepts of Bitcoin, they stand on the same principle as your banking, as all the satellites, as everything that we use. If everything breaks, of course we don't need Bitcoin. Like everybody died anyway. So it's like my point is there are people working on it that are not even Bitcoiners. They want Bitcoin to fail, but they're just saving their own ass. Like their own banking system, their own government website. It's like everything runs on the same principles, same cryptography, same math, same IT system. So that's the beautiful. You don't have to be friend or ally of Bitcoin, but you're saving it anyway by saving your ass. The tools. Let me talk briefly about the tools. So Bitcoin mining started end of 2009. At end of 2010, we created pools, which again, now you'll understand because the concept is very easy. Think about again, we're rolling the dice in a casino, and we created like a very simple principle. Hey, let's team up, let's play together, like me and you. We just increase our chances of winning, and then we just split the rewards. It's very simple concept, and that's how pools work. Because if you go alone into the casino and roll, yeah, you will win, but you will win, for example, once every 2 years. It's like, yeah, you don't want to spend that long time. But if we join us three together, maybe we get more rewards, we split it, so we make less, but in time and in total we make the same at the end of the 2 years. But it's better to have cash flow and pay your bills every month, not wait 10 years for finding the number and rolling the great dice. So that was 2010, and in 2013 we created ASICs. It was natural because again, think about it. It's rolling the dice. It's doing one thing. It's laying the bricks of China wall. It's one specialized task. Your GPUs, your CPUs, they're great at everything, from rendering games to browsing internet. It's smartphone. It's like it can do a lot of things sort of good. But for ASICs, it just roll the dice. So it's very easy. If you just give it one specialized task, it can do it faster and better with less energy. It's simple as that. So it was natural. It's not a bad thing. Somebody says, oh, we have more centralization. It could be better with GPUs. Think about the concept. Also, decentralization is not binary. It's not yes or no. It's a scale. It's a multi-dimensional scale. It's complicated. It's like 4D chess, but it's natural and it's good because again, the tremendous work, the energy, it protects Bitcoin, protects your coins in your wallets, right? So we want the special workers. We want the insane army of people spending real-world resources to protect it. That's what we want. So we don't want CPU mining. It just doesn't make any sense. And just so you can see how far we've gone, one ASIC today, this is older generation, doesn't matter, but it looks similar. Just one machine is the whole network, like the whole work that was done in 2012. Like that's insane how far we've gone. And I want to show you on another example. Oh, this is a great example. So I wish I could show you inside, but there are basically like 3 boards. You can imagine, so it's like a shoebox, and inside you have like 3 boards like this, right? And on each motherboard, or we call it hashing board, it's a hashing board, you have like all those chips. So for example, on one board like this, I don't know, you have let's say 40 of those chips. Just this one, so that's like a finger, right? So you can imagine the scale, so it's like this big. Just this one chip, because it's specialized, it only does one single purpose thing. It can do like the Bitcoin mining hashing, so the SHA-256, the dice roll, like you would need. We did the math, I don't remember exactly, maybe it's written like 30, let's say 30 top-end GPUs from NVIDIA. Just 30 of those graphics cards, just for that one single chip. So here you can see like how the specialization is crazy and how we've gone far. And it's a good thing because we need only the dice rolling. We don't need use your graphics card to play games and to render 3D graphics. That's what it's meant for. So yeah. And wanted to talk a little bit about the industry, so you can. So how much time do we have? Okay. So you hopefully you understand the basic concepts now. Now I want to talk about the industry, so you can kind of see it, because it's always on a lot of the conferences, or if you read Bitcoin magazine, etc., etc. Bitcoin is a niche of the niche of the niche of the niche. It's like all the Bitcoiners, they just understand the incentives work. We will play by the rules because we follow the incentives, so we don't have to care about them. And you can very easily see it. There are not many Bitcoin mining talks on main stage. There was almost no Bitcoin mining in Miami on the Bitcoin magazine 2 years ago. So it's like there is a very low spotlight on it, so a lot of people just don't see into how huge the industry is and how fast, like, moving. Yes, we're early. I will talk about it later. Like, we're in super grounds of an industry. Like, we're just starting, but it's growing so fast and getting specialized and professionalized so quickly that it's a little bit sad that it doesn't get more attention, because there are crazy good innovations going on there, and we should talk about it more. Yeah, so a little bit to explain. So let's go on the software side. So as you know, the typical miner has these machines. They're doing the dice rolls. They cost a lot of money. In bull markets, it's absolutely crazy. In bear markets, they're super cheap. I'll talk about it later as well. We need more hardware competition. But so you have these. Important component software-wise is the firmware. So it's just a fancy word to say operating system. So imagine you buy a laptop from China and it has a Chinese version of Linux, and you say, I don't trust the Chinese government with their Linux. I'll just like install Windows or whatever on it. So that's what we do, because really, and it again shows how early we are in the industry. They're just doing good enough job, because whatever they produce, they just sell. They're such a low competition in hardware markets. Whatever they produce, they'll sell anyway. So they just don't look into a lot of places where we can do a lot of like efficiency tweaks. But it's good for us because we created a nice business on it, like just fixing their laziness. But so you have a miner with the operating system, and there's a lot of R&D. And don't think about just the chips, right? Everybody just thinks, oh, we need smaller nanometers. Like that's like typical Intel thing, right? Intel thinking, but no, it's not true. Just the way you tweak the software, the operating system, just the way you put the chips on the hash boards, and the airflow flows differently. It runs like 0.2% more efficient. But on the large scale, that's again how we can add tremendous amount of security to protect Bitcoin and not waste it, like to do it smart way, to do it efficiently. So there's, I wanted to say shit ton. I mean a lot of R&D there. So, and on the other side you have the pool. Now you understand it as well. It's just miners coming together to play the lottery together, and when they win, they split the money. It's a very simple concept. And in the middle, it's just a fancy word. So it's a mining protocol, and it's just a fancy word to say how that machine speaks to the pool. So really imagine it in the most trivial sense. The machine says, hey pool, over the internet, hey pool, my name is this account. You know me, check in your database. Please accept my work, this is my dice roll, have a look. And please, if I roll correctly and according to the rules, give me my money. And the pool says, hey miner, I know you, you're mining with us for 2 years. Yes, you submitted a valid roll of the dice, here's your money. It's like a very simple way. So like mining protocol it sounds super fancy and nobody knows what it is, but it's just a set of rules how the machine speaks to the pool. And when I told you in 2000, like one ASIC machine is the whole network in 2012, the first protocol was written back then. So it's like it's very inefficient, and we didn't know we're gonna grow so fast. Like all the Bitcoiners, they believed like it's gonna go number go up, and the same with mining. But nobody expected that fast-paced innovation. So it's just simple as that. We're so far away, and there are so many miners, and there are so many features that we want to add, like telemetry, management. Like there's a lot of things that we want to do smarter as a miner or as a pool. But it just, this thing is limiting because it's very old and it was just created so it works back then, right? It's far good enough. But so, and the Stratum V1, like the first version, it's standard in any actually proof of work coin, not just Bitcoin. It's a standard in any cryptocurrency proof of work coin, and it was very simple. So we're on the pool side, and we say the version 1 like cannot be for the next 10 years. We know like we don't need it now, but we know for sure we'll need it in 10 years. And Bitcoin mining, like Bitcoin in general, it's very slow, right? It took a lot of time and reviews and consensus just to upgrade Taproot, let's say. And it's a feature, it's not a bug. But mining, it's even worse. There are like Chinese manufacturers who don't speak English and don't want to talk to Bitcoiners. Even like that crazy hurdles that we have to overcome as an industry. So it is very, very slow. So we published the specification for the new generation protocol 2 years ago, I'd say 2 years ago. And just now, like 2 months ago, we announced Spiral doing a lot of grants on Stratum V2 development. They released open source implementation, etc. And there are more companies joining. So it is happening, but we didn't believe it's going to happen that quickly. Really watch this space in the upcoming few weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Just one thing about why it was obvious that we'll need another protocol. So, yeah, I'll explain it like this. Sometimes the pools mine empty blocks, which means they write into the book, accounting book, but that they leave the page blank. There are no transactions. They just say, yes, this is a valid page in the accounting book, and they just turn the page. And they couldn't like write, yes, I send my Bitcoins to somebody else. And this happens, it is very simple. because it's, again, probabilistic, like we're just rolling the dice, right? And it can happen, it's very small chance, but it can happen, I rolled twice in like 2 seconds. So like I won twice. It's very improbable because on average it's easy to calculate, it should take me 10 minutes, but it can happen. The same as sometimes it just happens that we don't have a block for an hour. It's very improbable, but it can happen. So it's the same with on the mining pools. If it happens that quickly, like the miner finds the solution for the next block in like second and a half, we're just unable to make it to write the transactions. It's as simple as that. We don't have enough time to say, yes, Bob sends to Alice, Alice sends to Bob. It's just, and the miner comes like, hey, I already won. It's like, fuck. And like, here's your money. So you can see, like, it's not a problem now because we live from the block rewards. But imagine two halvings away. Like even if fees are super low anyway, and then the empty blocks are like 0.2% of the network, it still hurts. So it's like it's a very good place to fix and to just have more money. It's as simple as that. So in Stratum V2, it's like we have to fix it down like 3 halvings away. We just want to have this small detail fixed. So Stratum V2 fixes it in a sense that I don't want to go into too much detail. Again, we have a blog post, why pools mine empty blocks and how Stratum V2 fixes it. Very, very, very short, and so even I can understand. But very simply, so the first dice rolls, we write the transactions, and the miner already has, we have like a parallel smaller block already prepared. And if the miner rolls the dice in like 1 second afterwards, we say, okay, it's not the greatest transaction like set ever, like the writing into the accounting book, but it's good enough. And then if the miner gives us a little bit more time, like 3 extra seconds, we say, okay, this guy doesn't get into written into the book, we just add the better transaction with higher fees. But still, it's like 98% of the fees anyway. And that's how we fix it. And that's why we need Stratum V2 for the next 10 years. And that's why we didn't expect the progress to happen that quickly. On the other, so that's the whole software stack that you can understand now. And on the other side, I mentioned hardware manufacturers, the guys producing those machines, guys building the huge data centers. Energy, I know that there's a guy building a huge, using a lot of hydro somewhere in Latin America. So a lot of like energy infrastructure companies building it. So it's a very complex system. But to give you another example, I want you to see it, how far we've gone. So it's very easy if I ask you, how big is mining? Like how, because you don't know who that is, you don't know where he lives, you don't know anything about it, so how do you imagine the scope of the market? So it is quite easy. We now know, from the dice analogy, you would get very easily, you can calculate how big the whole game is rolling, because you can see in the network how difficult the dice game is and how fast we play. So it's very easy to calculate that the total hash rate, which is just a fancy word for the number of dice rolls, right? How it is around the, so it's 260 exahash, and hash is again 1 dice roll. So it's exa is 10 to the power of 18, 10 to the power of 18 of those dice rolls. And it's very easy. So then you take all the dice rolls that are happening in the world and you divide by 14 is this. It's S9, is a little bit older hardware. So you would need 18.6 million of these machines to have all the dice rolling that's happening currently in the world. Or S19 is a new generation machine. Looks similar. It's just like a taller shoebox. And you need 2.6 million. So I just want to, we don't know precisely what's the mix of those. So the reality is there are like million of these, million of those, like very big mix of that hardware. But we don't, it's not public, and the hardware manufacturers, they don't share those numbers. But at least you can see the scope that we're talking about. Huge industry, thousands of miners, millions of machines. So you can understand how far we've gone when I told you just this one machine is the total hash rate in 2012. Just that one. But now we're talking millions of units. Boiling the oceans, of course, my favorite topic. Are we boiling the oceans? Yes, we'll all die. No. It's just a topic for another, as I said, we could talk the whole weekend for it. I want to show you two of my favorite examples. So if you think about how mining farm looks, you would definitely not, I guess, imagine this. And this is location where we have a testing mining facility. So we have to have a lot of these machines to test our firmware and pool. So we mine because we have to test our products, basically. And this is how our farm looks like. This is our team. Ines is sitting here, so if you need any help with firmware, she leads the technical support team. Definitely talk to her. But this is how it looks. And you're saying, wait, where are the flames and burning the ocean? What's going on? Where are we boiling the seals? So it's a farm located far away from any city. So it's a stranded place in the middle of nowhere, and they have a huge farm of cows. And a lot of cows produce a lot of shit. So it's very simple. They put it in the tank, let it rot, or I don't know a better word, and then it produces the gas which we reuse to create electricity and mine with it. So our testing facility runs 100% on stranded cow shit. And you're thinking, okay, but wait, we can do something else with it. Actually, no. Because if you think about it's quite expensive to build the facility to create the gas. And then if it gets created, now imagine taking it and transporting somewhere to the city to sell on you would get to crazy number for the cost of the unit, right? So it's just uneconomical to do it. The market says no. That's the problem with stranded. Like if it's far away somewhere, you cannot make it like to the other consumer other than miners. Miners are really great in that because they are location agnostic. They don't care. They can be in the middle of absolutely nowhere and they're still adding, they're still using the energy to create the value. But you cannot just say, okay, hey, this manufacturing, move to the middle of nowhere and start creating, I don't know, whiskey there. It's like, are you nuts? Then we have to transport it all the way back and the whiskey will cost 10 times as more. So it's just the miners. I heard a really great analogy. It's like a dung beetle. I didn't know what it is, but it's the small insect that eats the cow shit. And that's exactly how miners are, because they go and find energy nobody wants. Like if you find somebody going to this farm that we have in Czech Republic and saying, I will produce something more useful and pay you more money than those guys are paying for that electricity, I guarantee you I will give you the whole farm and the whole electricity. Do it, because nobody wants it. That's why miners are genius. They go there and they say, I like this electricity. It's fine by me. It's from cow shit in the middle of nowhere. I don't care. Give it to me. I'm happy to pay. Nobody else is this crazy. Nobody else. So this is my first favorite use case. The second one is flared gas and vented gas. Again, very simple thing. So if you oil. So if you mine oil, there's a side product, a lot of gases. I'm not a chemist how it got created, the gas in there, but if you pump the oil, there's just some percent of gas, and the oil fields are again many times in super stranded location. It's very logical, right? You go to the center of Lugano and you don't want to be pumping oil on the main street. It's just very simple idea. So again, it's stranded. And what do? Because they're pumping the oil and it's like, it's worth gold. It's like black gold. It's crazy. And then they have gas and they look at it like, we don't want it. Like, what to do with it? Because again, you package it and then you send it somewhere and nobody wants it for that price. It's crazy. So it's like they say, you know what? Let's just burn it. Fuck it. So they do two things. They either burn it on site, literally, just like they come there, there's a lot of gas, like, hey, throw a match and it just lights up on fire and you just burn it. Or what's even worse, because that's methane. There's a methane, and when they burn it, you burn the methane and create CO2, which is better for the environment. Methane is crazy bad. CO2 also bad, but way less bad than methane. So that's why they set it on fire. But sometimes even they don't, and they vent, like they just put the methane into atmosphere, and it's just crazy. That's fucking boiling the ocean. That's literally boiling the ocean. And again, miners are like, hey, wait. You're taking energy and wasting it? Like, why would you do that? They're like, we're so rich from oil, fuck it. And we'll say, no, please, no. It's like a lot of energy. Let's use it as society. As a society, we need a lot of energy. So we go there and we say, hey, don't vent the methane. Just put it into like a, how do you say, closed engine. Let's burn the methane to, in a closed loop with filters. Like we've got good engines these days, create electricity, and then again you get to a point. Okay, so we create with the waste. We're creating a lot of electricity in the middle of nowhere. So what to do with it? And then miners again like, hey, I would like that. And again, if you show me somebody else who has incentives to go to these guys and tell them, stop fucking putting methane into the atmosphere because that's boiling literally the oceans. And so we have less pollution, create more energy, which we as a society need. And I'll be sitting here creating like some economical value on the internet. Show me somebody else who has the balls to do it. Miners do. So again, are miners boiling the ocean? No, on the contrary, we're saving the planet. Yeah, we're already finished. I just want to mention, because there's a lot in mining, as you can see. I just want to pique your interest and just show you some of the cool stuff that's going on. So what are the trends? What's the next 10 years? Definitely heat output is one. I think so. In the past 10 years, we're just thinking Bitcoin miners are producing one output, which is the Bitcoin. No, there are two things. It's like it's an electric heater, basically. And the mining is just 0.01 of the energy used. All the rest just goes to heat. Of course, we will get better efficiency chips, etc., etc. But still, it's a chip. By physics, it will create a lot of heat anyway. So next 10, 20 years is definitely to work with the heat. If you're interested, we have article. This is on some industrial use cases. We're early, so those use cases are just in the early phases testing, but it's already starting. So industrial use cases, for example, miner in Canada uses the ASIC heat for whiskey brewing. That's why I mentioned whiskey 20 minutes ago. There's a anyway, going further, one of the miners that we wrote, also a guide, uses to heat his home into HVAC system. Another miner of ours uses it for greenhouse, because again, like creating the heat, and then you have also output of Bitcoin. It's a very smart way to use electricity for heat. Like, why would you have a space heater in your home which just does the electricity, or just the heat? Every single retail heater at home should be a Bitcoin mining machine. Or my favorite would be one of our miners created a hot tub using the ASIC heat, and it's doable as well. So really recommend. So that's definitely one. Cooling technology. We have one of the smartest people, Ivan, working on some immersion setups, and he has a masterclass right after my masterclass. So definitely recommend to stay. We have on our blog also like a deep research into, maybe some of you don't know. So this machine is cooled by air. So there's just like pumping a lot of air through it, but one of the biggest trends is we don't need air. Let's just sink it into oil, which like very well takes the heat, decreases the noise to zero, because it's very noisy machine. But it's not the chips working; it's just the fans going. So immersion is crazy good because you can take the heat, pump it somewhere else, and use it very efficiently. You can reduce the noise, which is really bad, and you can cool it so well, so you can just pump more juice into it, so you can overclock these machines crazy well in oil. So it's one of the, of course, it was here a few years back, but it was always like a small miners at home being enthusiastic and playing around. Now we're getting into game on large scale, industrial. So that's another crazy good example of the trend. Hardware competition I mentioned, we're gonna see more hardware competition, but it's a very slow industry. But it's the biggest topic for me for the next 10 years in Bitcoin mining. Stratum V2 I already mentioned, and then something called hash rate commodification, crazy word. If you're interested, also go deep on our blog. But it's just the idea, hash rate as a commodity, and building financial products like spot market, futures, etc., around hash rate, which is a very interesting but very different, again, topic in the mining itself. That's what I just want to show you. Mining is not just like, hey, let's roll a dice and make Bitcoins. There are the industry is really huge and growing rapidly, and there are very, very interesting topics in it. Time to mine, not time to mine. I didn't bring my PSU. This is how the firmware looks like. So if you open it, this is the firmware. And then it's very simple. You put mining URL and your account name, and you start mining. And this is how the mining will look like in your pool account. Very simple. It's very, very, very simple. You just buy it, put an account, you need email and a wallet address, and that's it. And shilling a little bit competitors. But if you want to just try it, I really recommend. It's NiceHash. It's a European company. You can actually buy a spot market hash rate and play with it. Really go and spend 200 euros and just try it, because I think the experience, just seeing it, it's very simple. You can spend very, very little money. You'll not make any money. Don't expect like huge returns, but just the 100 euros is worth the experience. And I want to close with this. We're extremely early. I told you like the industry growing rapidly. There are huge innovations, but we're extremely early. Like we're in the wild west, and it's just starting. So if you think, oh my God, Bitcoin costs already $20,000, it's just starting. We have so much work in front of us in every single aspect that I mentioned during the whole presentation. So my pitch is, come work for Bitcoin, because we need a lot of people in a lot of different areas, in just mining, and there are way other like lightning and other technology and other areas. So come work for Bitcoin. We're super early, and we need smart people to work on these problems. And so you can ask me anything, and you stick around. I have 50 of these. I don't know how many of you. So we wrote a book as we focus on, and it is really from extreme fundamentals to the dice analogy to really deep research like economics of immersion cooling. And I thank you very much. And if you have any question, I'm here. And come take a book. Cheers. I see a hand in the back.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I have a couple of questions for you. The first one is maybe, sure, you can get energy from cow shit and gas flares, and that's actually a very smart way to reuse it and not waste it. But I guess my question is, out of the total hash rate, how much of the power is from this kind of energy versus how much of the power is from, let's say, the normal grid?
Honest answer is we don't know. All the research that you see is just assumption based on smaller data set from few pools. For example, we don't work with Cambridge, does the research, I think, because we don't want to be sharing any of our mining data. So you can very easily see that they're working with really, really small data sets, and they're claiming big claims about. So my honest answer is nobody knows. And second would be, it's not for me to judge. I mean, like the future is mixture of different energy sources coming together. I'm not like a solar maximalist, and I see solars everywhere. It's more complicated than that. Like the energy markets. Like I'm trying to go deep, but it's like if we have like Bitcoin and crypto Twitter, there's even like energy Twitter. Try that. That's crazy. So it is very deep, the rabbit hole, and. I forgot where I was going.
No, yeah, that's cool. So, but I guess my second question is like, I have a lot of friends that are definitely not in the crypto market. They don't know about Bitcoins. And there's a lot of people out there. The majority of the people are like that. And a of them are worried, let's say, about the energy and the consumption of it. And I understand proof of work. I'm a big fan of it. And but the problem is that it's sometimes a little bit hard to explain to them why it's important. What is usually your go-to when you have to justify the energy?
You're looking for a silver bullet. There is none. I'm sorry to say. It's just the truth. It really depends who's asking, what's the context. I know for me, it's really think about the narratives. Energy, food, like the energy problem with Bitcoin is the last enemy of Bitcoin. Like, think about it. We don't talk about terrorist money anymore. It's the thing that has to be solved, you know. So we have to take it super seriously. What worked, for example, I just remember last time I had it like a month ago with friends from my family town over a beer. Like really just explaining the flared gas to them. Like a side story. I wasn't talking about Bitcoin. I was talking about how flared gas works, you know, because they're always expecting where the Bitcoin comes up from me. But then I say only the flared gas in the United States can power like twice already the whole Bitcoin hash rate, and you're saving the environment. So it's not a question of if we're saving the environment. We have to get miners to all those locations yesterday to save the planet. But there's no silver bullet. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
So for the guy who asked the question, and perhaps for the rest of the room, there is of course no silver bullet, but I think a take you can ask is, like, the consumption of the humanity of energy has risen like exponentially over the last decades, and nobody really cared for what we are using the energy. It's just a game, as Kristian said. It's the last take which Bitcoin has to overcome. So that's basically it. It's the argument to say, is it worth mining Bitcoin over using a hairdryer? I mean, you're never going to win this argument. It's just emotions.